What's up, everybody? I am back. I want to talk a little bit about networking. It's something that's really, really important to me. I can tell you that for me, the small portfolio that I have right now all came from networking. And really, most of the connections I have and the people that I interact with now that have served me and that I've done partnerships with and other things, all a component of really good networking. It's why we started the Multifamily More communities, because we wanted to meet more people, and we've learned that we can add value to others by bringing people together in our communities and just pouring into them with great content. So networking is essential. I've broken this down into 4 areas that people really need to be aware of when it comes to networking. These are my musts. These are the things that have to happen, and they all are things that I haven't done. So I've made these mistakes, and I hope this helps you when you're thinking about, okay, what do I got to do to network effectively? So here we go. The first is you need to set the intention to add value. So let me explain that. We go to a networking event, we meet people, we're just sort of wired to think, okay, what am I going to get out of this? What am I going to receive? How is this going to benefit me? Why am I going? What do I get? I've done that. When we started Multifamily and More, it was with what can we get from this? We want attention from brokers. We want to be a face in the market. We want people to bring us deals. We want people to bring us capital. What we learned, thankfully, after just doing the networking events after the first couple of months was the real secret sauce to this is those that are really, really good and leverage networking to the fullest extent. And what we started to do shortly after starting Multifamily and More is they set the intention, they come to add value. They just don't worry about what they're going to get. They don't at all. It's incredible. It sounds almost like unbelievable, like everyone wants an angle. And of course they want to get something, but they understand that putting down the expectation of receiving opens them up to giving, and that giving leads to receiving. You've heard the phrase, if you want $1 million, you got to serve 1 million people. It's the same thing in networking, especially in the real estate world, which is really small, even though it feels big. In the real estate investing world, the more effective you are with networking, the more you're branded as somebody that adds value and gives and brings value to people, the better your career will be in this space. I see it time and time again. I guarantee it. For me, we're still starting out, and we've seen that. We've seen the benefits of really strong networking from an add value perspective. So don't forget that. Lead with value. Try not to go into it with what can I get, go into it with what can I give. The second thing with networking is you've got to be visible and present nowadays. And the only way to do that, I think, and the most effective way to do that without spending a ton of money on things, is you need to build your online presence. You got a Facebook page, you got an Instagram account, you got a LinkedIn page, maybe even a YouTube channel, maybe even a podcast. You got to build your brand. We did another video on branding. You can take a look at that, but you've got to build a presence online. You've got to be consistent with delivering value with that presence online. Don't get on and sell all the time. And if you got a product or a book or something that you think adds value, you absolutely can, but make sure it's here and there and not just always what you're doing every time you jump on a video or every time you go to a networking event. I've had people say to me, hey, what if I give I got this great book that adds value to people. It's like, it does, but if all you're doing with your online presence or all you're doing with networking is leading with that, then it feels like you're trying to get rather than give, and your online brand gets diluted significantly. So build an online presence, be consistent with that, post consistently. And the other part too is you don't even have to be the lead on this. If you go into active and engaged Facebook groups, for instance, the Multifamily and More Facebook group, if you go into that group, which we keep pretty clean, we try to keep the spam out of it, we keep conversations going, and you're somebody that's willing to interact, answer questions, do all of that stuff, that is building your online brand. You don't even need to put out a whole bunch of content, but if you're engaged in good communities, and there are a lot of good communities out there, the Bigger Pockets Facebook group is another good one. I know Joe Fairless has one that's pretty good, the Best Ever community, Multifamily and More. If you're engaged in these communities, you're answering questions to the best of your knowledge, if you're connecting people with people who do know the answers because they're in your network, that's the kind of thing where you can add value and you can build your online presence without having to produce a ton of content. The third thing you have to be when it comes to networking is patient and consistent. So patient and consistent apply to almost everything in networking. That means you go to one meetup, you go to a second meetup, I'm not getting anything out of this. you got to come back for the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth. Not saying go to every meetup. You have a limited amount of time, but if you find a meetup that has a good group of people that you resonate with, you got to be patient. You have to add value. You can wait for that value to come back to you. Don't expect it. It will, but you got to be consistent. Show up monthly. Show up in the Facebook group of that community. Make sure that you're adding value in that way. Consistency and patience is the name of the game. For us, we've had deals brought to us, months after, months in between with nothing, no activity in between really. It's just, we continue to put out content, we continue to add value, and then all of a sudden we get a deal. We're working on one right now. As a matter of fact, we hope to close soon. All from networking. So be patient, be consistent, leverage your networks, add value, and build that online presence, and you will start to see the benefits the sooner rather than later. You'll see them, and they will come to you if you exercise all of these areas that I've talked about so far. The last and most important, and honestly the most important, you got to show up, you got to be consistent, all of that stuff. You need to be authentic. You need to be you. Don't pretend you're more than you are. Don't pretend that you've got, more knowledge than you have. Don't play a role that you feel needs to be played. Just go in, be you, act like you. Don't worry about how you come across or whatever. Just be yourself. That will resonate in the long run. If you're quirky, people will know you as quirky, but a good guy or gal. Just leave it at that. You need to be authentic. Authenticity is such a difficult thing to come by nowadays. Everyone's posturing, everybody's flexing and doing all this stuff online. So you need to be as authentic as you possibly can. You need to be true to yourself when you're at a networking event, when you're talking to somebody. If you have one property, don't make it two. If you got a duplex, that's all you have. You don't have to go into I've done a couple of deals, I've had a few under contract that haven't fallen. Don't worry about that. Just talk to what you are, what you've done, what your experience is, and nobody's going to fault you for that. Nobody's going to look down on you for that. Be authentic, be real. It's such a key component of networking in this day and age. So that's it. Those are the 4 keys to networking nowadays. Check out our other videos on brand building, on other topics that are kind of related to this. But if this added value to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Drop some comments. What are some things that you think are important when it comes to networking? What are the 2-3 things that you lean into most when networking? Or even better, I'd love to hear how networking has led to real estate transactions, partnerships, or anything else that you've gotten value from, because it just proves to me that what I'm working on, which is consistently building my network and adding value to others, is something to absolutely continue to lean into. Love to hear your story. Meantime, subscribe to us, and we'll see you next time.